I'm sure you're going to know the first question that's coming to you. It's not like you've never been asked this before, but who killed Lucy Beale?
Yeah, I wish I knew. I genuinely don't know either. I filmed all those scenes and didn't have a clue who I was talking to on the other end of the phone or who was strategically placed behind that tree. I still don't know, and I'm as keen as you and everyone else to find out who did it.
Yeah, but it seemed that Emma had actually cracked the case, but there was actually an interesting play of words with her final text, where she said, "I can't keep the secret," rather than "your secret." Yeah. So what are the chances that Emma actually caught the right person?
Well, it's very interesting. I was thinking about that as well the other day. I mean, because I think that she does say on the telephone when she calls the person, she says, "I know you killed Lucy." And so unless this person that she meets up with tells her something different in the box, she also says, but it's still, that's by the by, but it's still murder. So, yeah, maybe more than one person was involved, maybe she doesn't have the right person. But yeah, they've been, Dom and the story team have been extremely careful and very clever about how they've done everything, so I think it's virtually impossible for anybody to guess.
Yeah, but would you have actually liked to have stayed till the big reveal?
I always knew that I was going to leave at this point and when, and how far my contract was up to. And so I kind of never really saw beyond that. And also, quite a big part of me is quite pleased that I don't have to do all the live stuff because I would be absolutely terrified. So no, I think it's good, and you have to lose people along the way in big dramas and big cases like this. And I think it sort of kept people going, it kept the audience going a little bit longer because it is such a long time to make an audience wait. That if you have a little reveal like this, even though it was only to Emma, it kind of feels the audience that they're that little bit closer. So I think it's all been paced really well, and I'm quite glad. No, I'm very glad that I came out when I did.
Yeah, and of course Emma's death was such a huge shock to many viewers. But were you actually pleased with your exit?
Well, yeah, because I thought, it was one of those things where she got hit by a car, and you think, oh, well, that's it. But then obviously she gets back up again, and it's, it's a thing that really happens to people, is this sort of this slow brain hemorrhage, and people get up and they think they're fine. And I think it was really nicely done how she died very quietly off screen. It was really unsoaped. I think that's the wonderful thing about Dominic and the story team, is that they never do what people expect them to. I think everybody sort of would have expected a death, the only person on the square who knew who the killer was, to sort of maybe be lying in a hospital bed going, it was, and then they die. That's a typical soap ending, whereas Emma was, quietly hemorrhaging, and nobody knew, and then she just sort of quietly slipped off mid-episode without sort of any massive thing around it. So I think it was really nice because it was so unspoken, so incredibly unexpected.
Yeah, and like you say, Emma was quite different from your typical character. So in the final weeks, I think she actually became into her own and became a lot more feistier. Do you think she was more than a typical police officer character?
Oh, definitely, because most, in a lot of soaps and things that aren't, police dramas, police officers are devices. They are there, purely to give or pass on information. So for Emma to be given her own story and to become, a three-dimensional character in her own right was fantastic, and I think it was really lovely for me as an actress to explore that, and also for a viewer to sort of watch somebody who you don't expect a police officer to come in and to kind of have that, to be integrated so well into the main cast. Yeah, and I think it was really lovely. I mean, bless Emma, she never really did fit in the square, and I think that was kind of the point of it. Even however hard she tried, she was never really accepted. There's that speech early on where she said, I will always be the police, I will always be the outsider, which is very much, I think, what she was. Even, within the Browning household, there were secrets kept from her. There was, even within the police force, there were secrets kept from her with Keeble. So she was very much alone. She was always kind of on her own. But yeah, it was really really lovely to be able to play a police officer who's human.
Yeah, that's
flawed.
great.
God, was Emma flawed. You know, she was really flawed and got herself in trouble for her own feelings and being oversensitive to things, which I think, again, makes her more real and more human rather than just a machine.
Yeah. There was actually a scene where Emma was about to walk out on Max just before, I think a few days before her death, and she was actually tempted by Max and she decided to stay. Do you think that decision actually led to her downfall?
I think Max led to her downfall from the word go, definitely. I think she knew that she shouldn't have got together with him. She knew that she shouldn't have become engrossed in a relationship with somebody who was A, a suspect, and B, somebody who she knew very little about. And then, yeah, she had that chance to get away at that point that you're talking about in the relationship after she discovered that he was the one who shopped at a Keeble and all that kind of thing. And you kind of wonder what on earth made her stay. And
their relationship became quite destructive, didn't it?
Yeah, massively. I mean, they were not good for each other. And I think that the whole point of the relationship, from the writer's point of view, was that Max fell in love with somebody who was essentially good, who could have hopefully made him a better man and all that kind of thing. And then, of course, yeah, there's a horrific, tragic ending. So that, you know, Max sort of couldn't see the end of that storyline. But, you know, can he ever be happy? Really? Poor Max Branning.
Of course, Emma actually discovered a secret with Lucy, and it was actually linked to Max. Do you think Max could have been using her this whole time, or was his love actually genuine?
I have to believe, as an actress in the part I played, I have to believe that both Emma and Max's love was genuine. I think that's the other side as well, that, you know, again, that Dominic and the story team always do what you don't expect them to do. I mean, as soon as Emma went into that house, everybody thought it's a honey trap. She's spying on him, she's this, and you kind of did wonder that right up until the end. And also, as you just said, you know, there's the flip side that the Brannings were possibly spying on her to see what she knew or to keep her from finding things out. But I genuinely think that was just, you'll probably be proved completely wrong, but I think that was just a byproduct, that these two had this massive connection and this huge chemistry and genuinely did love each other. But it just so happened that their lives were such that they probably could never completely trust each other, and maybe he was. Maybe I think it might have just been a plus point that he could keep an eye on her and what he knew. I don't think it was his sole motive. But again, you'll watch me be proved wrong.
Will you actually be watching the anniversary episodes?
Oh my goodness, of course I will. I'll be there on the backstage on the Friday. Because there's a 30th anniversary party. But yeah, I am desperate to know if he did it. You know, because I've got all my different theories, and then my theories change, and then different things come up. And, you know, I'm extremely proud to be part of that show and this incredibly huge storyline. And so I watch as any normal audience member would, just because I'm intrigued. And also I'm intrigued for other storylines. I'm loving what's going on with Chaperone at the moment, you know, and all the other bits with Dean and just the show as a whole. I'm completely gripped by it, not just the Lucy Beale storyline.
Right, and how do you think you would have actually handled the live scenes for the anniversary week?
With utter terror. I mean, I've done theatre. You know, I'm a trained actress. I'm supposed to know how you would. I don't know. It's just so different because EastEnders is very quick anyway. You know, you've got your 4 cameras that the editors are cutting between things, and it's just, I don't know, it's just different. I would have to have handled my nerves very, very well, and I would have been extremely grateful for the rehearsals, because you don't always get so many of those. But you know, I'd like to think I'm a professional actress and could have coped with it, but luckily we'll never have to find out.
You say it's quite busy behind the scenes, so what was it actually like working with Jake Wood?
Oh, Jake's lovely. He's such a lovely man, and just very welcoming, and you know, very, very kind, lovely to work with. And it was very interesting, obviously, working alongside him whilst he was doing Strictly, because I mean, God, how he did those schedules is beyond me. He was absolutely exhausted, but yeah, no, it was great. It was really lovely being able to watch and support him doing Strictly, and yeah, Jake's brilliant. brilliant, and character of Max is such a fantastic character that I think he plays it so well. So yeah, I was very lucky to work with him.
And you filmed those heartbreaking scenes with Adam Woodyatt very early on in the Lucy story. How were they like to film?
That was really difficult because, I mean, going on to a set like EastEnders, obviously a show that I've watched, and you know all of these people, and even though I know that they're actors, they're also these incredible, iconic characters, and I also knew I was briefed, you know, very heavily before I started filming about how important this storyline was going to be, and obviously this was the beginning of it, and Adam had such incredible emotional scenes that he had to do that for myself and lovely Glenn Wallace, who played D.S. Bryant, we had to be completely on it. We had to know our lines. We had to be, I mean, of course you have to know your lines as an actor, but I mean, you had to be more on it than you normally would be, because we didn't make a mistake. I don't think we even rehearsed. I think because it was such an emotional thing for him, we literally we went for it. So it was terrifying, just A, step on that set, and B, to have such responsibility, you know, for Adam's performance and everybody else's. But Adam's amazing, and I mean, so I had to try and stop myself from crying. I thought his, you know, delivery and performance was so beautiful and moving. And I know that now, you know, later on, Emma probably would have shed a tear in a situation like that, but at the time, when you're sort of just discovering your character, it would be incredibly unprofessional if I would have properly cried then. But yeah, I thought he was amazing.
You mentioned Glenn Wallace. We've actually been campaigning to make him into a regular character because he's just so amazing. So what do you think about him?
I love Glenn. He's absolutely brilliant. We got on very, very well. He's very funny. Yeah, we used to joke and make up all these alternate realities for Summerhayes and Bryant. And then when we discovered that obviously we were had been engaged and he was the fiancé, we had a lot of fun with that. But he's very lovely, a brilliant actor. Yeah, I'd love to see more of him on the square, even without Emma.
Yeah, and we like to keep an eye on you guys on Twitter, where you were chatting to Alison Newman, and you were thinking of ideas of a spin-off series. Well, how would you feel about that?
Alison. That's all Alison. She's very good. She's very quick-witted, very fast, and yeah, she is. She's got fingers in many pies with sort of different. Actually, there's not much I can say about that. She's very funny and very witty, and she's always on the ball about different things. She's very funny to follow on Twitter. I think she always comes out with something, very sharp. She's good, and she's become a very good friend of mine, which is also very nice. I've picked up quite a few lovely friends from that show. Actually, I was very lucky.
Yeah, and speaking of Twitter, did you actually see the funny memes that people had created with the "I know you killed Lucy"?
Yes! Yeah, I had a lot of fun looking at all of those. I started to retweet a couple just because I didn't realise the huge number of them that would come out, and I think some of them are still coming or being retweetable.
Did you have any favourites?
I quite like the Hyacinth Bouquet one. I think that was one of the ones that I retweeted. I thought that was very funny. And what was the other one I read? I can't remember the other one I did. One's recently come out with the Doctor Who one. And what was some of the other ones? I can't remember. I think Dominic and I did a pretend one because of course he did kill Lucy and he did kill me. So of course that's who I'm really on the phone to. I can't remember any of them, but I've loved them all. I think it's just brilliant how this whole storyline has just caused such a frenzy, and everybody just desperate to know who it is and who she was on the phone to.
And is there anyone you would have liked to have worked with but didn't get a chance to?
Probably June Brown, just because she is June Brown and she's an absolute legend and fantastic. I worked my way around the square pretty well, actually. I think I've had most people at some point had even a small scene with somebody, or in the group scenes, those kind of. So I did get to meet everybody.
Could I just add? Yeah, I personally enjoyed the scene where Emma was on the footpath in the New Year's Day episode, and Les and Pam came towards her. I thought that was an amazing scene, just with the three of you.
Which one was that? When she was sitting down, when she'd been hit by the car?
No, it was was it after? Yeah, it was after the accident. She was on the footpath, and Les and Pam came to Emma.
Oh yes, yeah, no, yeah, I do. God, such a all of that kind of, because you filmed that over such a long period of time. I forget, but lovely Lynn and Roger. They're brilliant. They were great fun to work with as well. They have such a great energy, the pair of them. And I was able to do quite a few things with them actually, and that the lovely scenes that we were given, Lynn and I, who played Pam, when she told Emma about her son and all that kind of thing, and for a while she's a suspect, and so I got to do some lovely stuff with them. I was very lucky with the amount of people I got to work with in such a short space of time, really, because 9 months in the grand scheme of things, people think it's not that long in a smoke, but I was very lucky for the whole time there, I think.
Yeah, and EastEnders won Best Soap at the National Television Awards last month, and it actually won at the Broadcast Awards last night. So, how do you feel about their position at the moment?
How do I feel about it?
Yeah.
So incredibly proud. It's remarkable to have been part of such a show that is clearly so on the rise and is doing so well. They're literally sweeping the board at everything they're nominated for. They seem to be winning at the moment, which I think is completely well deserved. Everybody is working so hard there. Not that people don't normally, but I think that the current cast is really, really strong. And I think Dominic and his story team they've just got these incredible minds that as I said before, whatever you predict, whatever you think is going to happen, they do something completely different, so you can never second guess it, which I think is a really wonderful thing. So you're constantly shocked with new revelations or with a relationship that you thought was going to go a particular way, and then they just completely flip it on its head. I think it's a really, really well-deserved run of winning, and I really hope it continues, and I completely believe it will. I'm just very, very proud of having been lucky enough to be involved in such a show at such an incredible time.
So what's next for you? What does the future hold?
Well, it's quite exciting, really, isn't it? To sort of come off the back of the show at the point it's at, and also such a brilliant character as Emma. There's a few little things in the pipeline that are quite exciting, but nothing's been confirmed yet, so I'm a little bit superstitious. I don't want to say anything just in case. But yeah, hopefully there'll be some exciting things that I will, no doubt, as soon as they're confirmed, I'll put them on Twitter or I'll mention it in some way. But yeah, nothing that I'm just a bit superstitious at the moment. I don't want to say too much.
Yeah, that's fine. Great. That's very good. Thank you. That's all I have for you, really.
Oh, lovely. Pleasure. Well, great to talk to you. And you do brilliant work with EastEnders Ultra. You're always completely on it and very polite. Thank you. It's lovely that you're so professional and so dedicated. Thank